So how do we identify the main idea of a passage? So fundamental question you should ask yourself whenever you start reading a new Cars passage is, what is the author's purpose for writing this passage? They're not just writing it because they felt like writing. They have a specific goal, okay? The author will always have a main purpose, which they will make sure to weave in into every part of the passage, okay? So what are some common main ideas that the author could have? Well, some very common ones are they trying to praise something or criticize something? Are they maybe comparing two things? If so, do they have a preference between these two things? Are they saying one of these two similar ideas or things is better or worse than the other? Are they arguing for or against something? Do they have a specific stance on a topic? Are they simply describing something or trying to educate the audience about something that they either know about or have an interest in, right? These are all common ideas that a passage could have, right? And more than likely, most passages you'll see will have one of these ideas. But as you can see, these are very vague outlines, right? So let's go in a little bit more detail. So I mentioned a lot of something, right? So what is this something? Well, that's what you have, sorry, that's what you also have to figure out. So is this something a person? Is it maybe multiple people? Are they talking about people in history? So say political leaders, leaders throughout history, any particular artists or philosophers, mathematicians, anything like that? Are they maybe praising or criticizing this person or this group of people? Are multiple different people being compared? Are they comparing two different philosophers? Are they comparing two different mathematicians or something like that? And again, do they have a preference of one over the other? Do they maybe like one historical leader over another? Okay. Maybe this something is a book or article or theory that someone expressed. So this may be different from the person. So the person could be maybe Einstein, and they're talking about Einstein and his life and his accomplishments. And that could be fall into the first category of, is it a person? If they're more talking about a specific theory that Einstein had or a specific idea he expressed or a book he wrote, then it would fall more under the second category, where they're not specifically talking about Einstein himself or his life, but rather this one particular work that he did or this one theory that he had. Okay, and this is a very important distinction, and they'll try and trip you up with this on the MCAT. They'll always have, like, if they ask you like what is the main idea of the passage, they'll have something. If it's talking about Einstein's like book or theory, they may have the main idea is about his life or something like that, or about him as a person, and that would be the wrong answer. It would be something that's specifically related to his work rather than his life or who he is as a person. So when talking about this book, article, theory, or idea, does the author disagree with this person? Do they agree? Maybe it's a mix of both. Maybe they like some parts of the idea, but they want to expand on it. Or maybe they want to actually do the opposite. They want to go back a little bit. They think the original theorist went too far. Okay. Are they maybe comparing two different theories or ideas? Are they comparing maybe Einstein's theory with, I don't know, Newton's theories or something like that? Are they comparing two different theories or ideas? And again, this is different than comparing two different people. It's the work specifically you have to look at. Are they talking about the person themselves, or are they talking about a specific work that that person produced, either art, a book, a theory, an idea, or something? Okay. Maybe, and the third category is maybe this something is a new technology, right? They could be comparing it to an older or a previous technology. They could be comparing it to alternative modern technology, so something that's slightly different but accomplishes the same task in a different way. Do they like, and usually they'll say, do they like this new technology or do they not like it? Are they pro or against it, right? Do they think it's better than the older version or the modern alternatives, Do they think it's worse? Do they think it has a potential for improvement in the future, or do they think it's like a dead end, right? So these are the three main categories that I think most articles will be about. And again, these are fairly vague, and it's up to you to fill in which category it belongs in. But what I'm trying to get at with these two slides is when you're reading a passage, you want to be able to categorize the passage into specific bullet points, right? What is the subject? What is the something? Category 1, person. Category 2, theory or idea or something that a person or some kind of work made by a person. Or 3, it's a new technology, right? Or it could be another one, right? And then I also want you to think about this common main ideas. Now that you have the subject, what are they trying to say about this specific subject, okay? Any questions so far? Okay. And for cars, I really think that the best way to improve in cars is to actually practice, and more than anything, practice right. Okay. So for this lecture, I'll be having a lot of practice passages and practice questions to try and kind of get you to get into that habit, while also looking at it through maybe this lens that at least I used. And I know a lot of other books also suggest it. A lot of other sources and books also suggest this lens, and maybe try and approach passage from this specific way to see if you can more understand the passage rather than just try and not even understand, try and answer the questions that has come with the passage, but understand the passage first. Once you do that, then I think answering the questions becomes a whole lot easier. Okay, like I mentioned, and I'll put this again in the chat. So I have practice passage links. So I'll post it again for anybody else that recently joined here. If you go to there, it has 2 passages on it. These are practice passages. In a second, we'll be looking at practice passage 1. I'll give you guys about 10 minutes, which is how long you should take on the real MCAT to read it. Maybe I'll give you a couple more minutes extra just because this is practice. But I want you to try and read it. And again, focus on this lens that I talked about with try and understand what the main idea of passage 1 is, what it's talking about, what the subject is, what the author is trying to get at, and what he's focusing on about the subject, okay? And it'll also be right here on screen in the Zoom link. It's a little bit small here, so it's a bit harder to read, but if you want to highlight stuff as you go, then please go to the Google Doc that I put in the chat. You'll be able to download the file as a Word document and then highlight as you see fit and do all that. Okay, so I will give you 10, sorry about that, 10 minutes until 8:57, let's say. Yeah, so please start reading.